yourself? Yeah, I'm good.
Where is this guy?
Well, he couldn't make it, you know.
Right.
He couldn't make it.
Shit.
All right, reuniting.
And, you know, I got sober. I got clean and sober in 95, 96, 96. I got with Slash, and then I met Epic after that. And so I'm gonna tell you because I told them exactly what happened. He came. He called me. He called Steve and said, "Look, I want to talk to Jay." Because I met.
But I met him first.
Okay, but I met him.
Yeah.
You know, I was staying at sea before I went back on tour. You know, I wasn't. I mean, I didn't tour after I got clean. I was off. I didn't do shit for a year. I just didn't want to play. Couldn't play.
Oh yeah.
So the thing is, Epic.
It's a hard transition.
Epic took me. No, Stevie took me to Epic's house.
And then you had to on tour with me. So
no, he had a studio. He took me to the studio. And Steve and I were working on some songs, and I played live drums, you know. And so at that point, I'd seen Epic a few times. So he called me like once. I had just gotten back from the first leg of a tour with Mangione. I had a week off, and he said, "Hey, dude, I mean, I'm coming over. I want you to hear these demos, right?"
Right.
So I said, "All right, man. I'll check it out." You know, I said, "I'm doing this project with me and my partner. We got this thing." I said, "All right, come on." Came over. We went in the car, you know, and he played the demos. And I remember the demos, Think Fast,
yeah.
Think Fast. I'm like, so I'm listening, like I told them this, I never told you this, but I was listening, I was like, damn, they trying to sound like the Beastie Boys, you know?
Right.
That's the first thing I said.
Influence, yeah.
That's the first thing I said. And then after we had that meeting that day, it was like after lunch, and I said, man, I can't do this, because I just got court ordered to pay for my child, okay, child support.
Right.
I said, I just got this, I'm back with the band. His father, Epic's father knew Chuck what Mangione was. He used to manage Billy Joel. So he said, hey, I know Chuck Mangione. I said, yeah, I'm doing a reunion to a 20-year, but I need to be paid. I can't do it for nothing. He said, all right. Because he said he was going to try to get DH or something to play at DH.
Yeah, DH.
And he said, man, and then he came back and said, man, DH, this thing with DH, it ain't working out, man. We want you. And I said, we got to wait. I said, no. And then we did a showcase. It was me, Stevie Constantino, and remember Billy Worth?
Of course.
The actor Billy Worth, my boy Billy Worth.
I see Billy all the time.
You tell him.
I'm trying to get him in our new video about Lost Kids.
Oh my God! Tell that brother I love him. That was my brother.
Yeah. He
was in the movie with Whoopi Goldberg and shit. We all
Lost
got
Kids too.
He was in the Lost Kids with.
And he directed that movie MacArthur Park.
I read for that part.
Yeah.
About it was crack in the city in MacArthur Park. That story. He was in that. I mean, he was living. In the park, he was smoked out.
Yeah.
But the treatment for the film, I was one of the actors who read for that.
Right.
And and so Billy was like, so we did a showcase in some club in Hollywood, and so guess who showed up with his girl? He was Epic was sharp. He had a fucking shirt, he dressed up, and I'm playing, we like fucking playing. And he said, no, man, fuck this shit, man. He said, and you coming with me? You come next week, Monday. And then guess who came by and picked me up? Rust and Doug came by. They came by the house. They came by and picked me up. And I looked at Rust. I remember. I'll never forget this as long as I live. Russ was so young looking, and so I saw him. He had this glow on his face, and he looked. I said, "Man, you look like my brother. I have a younger brother." So you look like Gerald. You look like my brother. He was so sweet. And Doug. So it was me. It was me, Epic, Doug, and him. So we learned the music. We started learning the songs. He gave us, we did a couple, like a thing fast. We took it slow. Like we took 2 songs a day or something. And every day though, a new member, somebody else would walk in. I was telling them. So the fourth day it was Trouble. Trouble came in.
I took Trouble from my work.
Exactly. Trouble came in. And then AM came like the next day, like the day after him. Like, what's this shit? And then you came in and you had a fucking boot, ankle on your ankle boot. I'm like, you on lockdown. You remember that shit?
I was. I had an ankle.
Yes. You walked in and you had the Shifty Capone hat and the
and an ankle monitor.
And but you was all sharp and shit. I'm like, who's this dude, man? He is like Shifty. He is Shifty Capone,
right.
you know. So every day though, the thing that I was explaining to them earlier is that every day, I had the time to put it. I was off tour for a couple of weeks, so I had time to put in time to get the song together. And then after 2 weeks, everybody showed up. Everybody started coming on time. You know, and we were knocking out songs. After about the 5th or 6th song, we had about 10 songs. And I said, after the 7th song, I realized, like, yo, I got the same feeling that I got in my career when I played Unfeel So Good when I was 18 and walked into the control room. And Chuck Mangione was like, oh my God, he was this high off the ground. I'm like, what did we do? It was like, it's, the greatest single instrumental song in American history. I got the same feeling down my back. I said, this is something, this is something special. This shit can happen now. I felt it that day. And then Epic tells me, yo, we got to get we got to put a showcase together for Sony Music. For the president's flying in from New York and shit. You know, Tim Devine. Tim Devine was there.
And we were in Hits Magazine and every label wanted us then.
Tim Devine. Which, the crazy thing was that after we were so tight and we did the showcase like a show. We were tight and we killed it. And then after we played a show for the execs. It was only 3 people in the room, and we just kicked it off. And we played a show, a real show. And afterwards, I can't think. Barry Squire. It was Barry Squire and the president. What was his name? Big time. Tim Devine. Okay. So Barry Squire. Now check this out. Barry Squire and Tim Devine knew who I was.
Right.
I didn't even know they knew who I was, because they knew me. Barry knew me from Mary's Day. After I walked off stage, he came.
John Pikus.
He fucking came up. Yeah, right. Pikus. Yeah. He came to me. He's like, James, JBJ. I'm like, yeah. I was like, yeah, man. We know who you are. I'm like, oh shit. I'm like, okay. And then the next thing, I think it was the day after. No. They said
Donnie Einer.
Yeah, Donnie Einer from New York.
Finally met.
But the thing is, when we walked off from the stage, and they said, hey, you got the contract. They said, hey, you got it. I'm like, wow. It was just so. From there, But I want to ask you a question that I never asked you before, and I didn't know. It was how did you meet Epic? Because I heard something about Will I Am from
Black
Eyed Peas.
I went to Palisades. I was actually in the continuation, and Will went to Pally.
Okay.
So we would all hang out at lunch. I was more of a bad kid. I was over continuation. So me and Bernard would go up and we'd all rap over by the bleachers.
Right.
And we'd all kick it.
At Pally High School?
And Jesse at Pally.
Pally High School?
Yeah. And Jesse Phelps, and we'd all go up there, and then me and Will became friends because I was totally I knew Will had it. I was like, Will is dope.
Right.
So, and then me and Will were chilling together, and Will, I had just gotten my license, and so I was more tapped into the Hollywood scene. Right. Ballistics and all the freestyle competitions. Oh. So I'd hit up Will and be like, yo, Will, I'm swooping you up. We're going to Fat Cap. Or we're going to, ballistics, and you're gonna win. And Will be like, oh, if you come get me, I'm down. So I'd go get him, and then I started taking him, and I took him to a couple. I think it was what was it, Fat Beats or Fat Cap? It was like a hip hop store in Melrose, and there was these freestyle competitions going down. So I took Will there, and Will flowed, won every competition I took him to, and that's when Eazy-E saw him, and then Eazy-E offered him a deal. Wow. Right? So then me and Will had that connection. When he hooked up with Eazy-E, who did he take Will and put him in the studio with? Brett. Because Brett had already done Blood of Abraham.
Right, Blood of Abraham.
He had produced Eazy-E. So
he did Madonna too. That's when I knew him.
Brett took Will, and all of a sudden Will's got a deal with Ruthless. Wow. And he's recording the album with Brett. Wow. So Brett and him are talking, and they're up one night, and Brett was like, I got this side project thing I've been trying to do, and he's like, I'm looking for another MC, and Will was like, I got your guy. So Will kind of paid it forward. He was like, yo, Shifty always has my back.
Right.
He's like, I got the kid for you. He's like, this kid's a badass. Yeah. So then I get a call from Will. He's like, listen, the producer I'm working with wants to start a group. You're perfect for it. But me and Bernard were a group.
Right.
So then I came and I was like, well, I'm a package deal. You want me? Right. So then me, Brett, and Bernard started a group, and Brett was the producer.
Right.
But then, while we were working on those songs, Bernard was always in trouble.
Yeah, he went out.
So Bernard ended up in jail.
Right. Yeah.
I ended up in jail too. We all ended up in jail. Don't get me wrong. But what happened is Bernard got longer in jail. He got more time. Mm-hmm. So we were still working on the shit. You know, Bernard had Crazy Town tattooed from shoulder to shoulder.
Wow.
Like, you know, he was part of it. But then when he went away and they had to do a year and a half, and then I guess he got in a fight in there and it got extended. And me and Brett were like, and he was like, man, if you guys are down, just do it without me. Right. He's like, you have my blessing. He's like, I'm in here for a minute. Right. So then me and Brett, that's when we made the demos that we brought to you. Right. And it all happened, and Bernard got out, and fucking we're signed. Right. Yeah, I know we were rolling at that point. So then Bernard came into the studio, wrote B-Boy 2000. He came in and wrote. Mm-hmm. He wrote Black Cloud with me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, he did a verse on B-Boy 2 Triple O. He wrote that.
Yeah. So.
I mean, I didn't even know. I mean, I remember like when I met Bernard, you know, and I knew, you know, a little bit of that, but I had to when I listened a few times because we were moving. I mean, we were moving.
We was moving fast.
Yeah. So I think.
But we met. We kept
it took a little while. It took a little while for me to hear his part in the song when he actually rapped and sang his part. Right. Because you got, you know, it was back and forth with you and Epic. Then it C slides in there, you know, like, oh shit, that's Bernard. That's Bernard. Okay, I got it then, you know, but we were moving. I mean,
yeah, but we did definitely. Yeah. Bernard got out in time to get on the record.
Right.
But no, then we hooked him up with Yomo, and we hooked him up. Then he started, you know, O Brown, and you know, we always were.
Yeah, you guys will help.
Yeah, we were always. And it was just too late. We were already almost halfway done with the record. It was kind of like, you know, but it was all good. But yeah, there was.
I remember, when I don't know if I told you this, but you know, like I said, I was working. My gig was still with Uncle Chucky. I was still with Chuck Mangione on the reunion tour, which was a 20-year reunion. But there was so much happening. With Crazy Town, as far as Epic was fucking calling me, you know, because he knew my schedule. When I was gone.
That Brett, we had put together. We had been. It was me and Brett in the recording studio. Mm-hmm. Then we got Doug. Yeah. Right. Then we got Rust. Yeah. Doug brought Rust. Uh-huh. Right. And then we were sitting there going, if we want to be tight as fuck, we need a serious drummer. And Brett was a drummer too. Right. So he was like, man, if we have a good drummer, the whole band's tight. Right. You know, he was like, the backbone of the band has to be a good drummer. So then he was like, JBJ's our guy. And plus, I started rapping because of the Beastie Boys. Right. The Beastie Boys was like my holy grail.
But he told you, did he
that was like my biggest influence. So we were the kids that grew up listening to the Beastie Boys. So we didn't want to necessarily do what they were doing. Right. Because we brought in the elements like Korn. Right. We brought in the modern elements. But it was kind of like we were the next generation.
At that time too, you know, that year actually, 97 was the first year that I remember. That was the year of Fred Durst, you know. Yeah. And after I realized that this was, I said, when I first heard the demos, that was the first, because, being older and being in the business longer, I know the influences of younger people that are playing anything from vocals to drums or whatever instrument. I can tell, okay, we were all influenced by someone. Yeah. So that was the influence, but that was a great influence. It wasn't like, oh, I'm dissing them, oh, they're trying to sound like a Beastie Boy. But then, that was the thing that after we worked together, then I could see the potential of the six of us. Yeah. And then I wasn't thinking about the Beastie Boys.
And I remember when
that's the idea.
We were working with DH, and then DH had his solo project, and he was doing all these different bands. So it was kind of like when he has time to do Crazy Town. Right. And we were like, no, this is our life. Yeah. And then Brett was like, no, I got that actual guy who played for the Beastie Boys. On Check Your Head, you got to meet him. So when I came in, I was just sold already. I was like, okay, Check Your Head's one of my favorite records of all time. So then it was just a rap. And I was like, it doesn't get better than that. So it was cool. Yeah. Oh,
all
it was
the
a
shows.
big production. Yeah, it was a big production. We pulled it off. I mean, we were even upset when we'd go to Europe and they'd be like, play the track. Well, I remember we'd go on shows like Top of the Pops and shit. We were like, are you fucking kidding me?
Right, right. But I remember, it's funny you said that too, because I think I told Linda the other day, or somebody I was talking to, and we were talking about Germany, and I was talking when we first went there. Because remember, on the first tour in '99, we were in America, the first gig that we got, our first job that was handed to us, because the album we're talking about in '99, we had recorded the album in May of that year, but the release was in November. You see what I'm saying? Meanwhile, you know, as a matter of fact, I played on 7 tracks live drums on Gift the Game. Yeah. I did that shit in one day because I had to go back on tour. Okay. Meanwhile, when I was on tour for 2 or 3 weeks or to a month, whatever, they were in the studio finishing up the album, doing all the rapping and all the bass part, all the parts and shit was done, so the album could come out in November. When I came back, I talked to the management company. They called me and they asked me how much. They asked me how much I wanted to get paid, and I discussed that business with them. And I said, you never heard this, and I told HM. Yeah. HM, because Epic it was really cool. I mean, Epic's my little brother. He checked on me. He wanted me there. So I mean, at that point I was sold. He called me. We checked in every week. He could call me, hey, how's it going, blah blah, and he would inform me of all the businesses that was going on. Right. With the record company and stuff. He said, yeah, well, James, we got this, I mean, every fucking thing. He said, yeah, we got a booking agent, we got a tour. Dude, we're gonna be touring with Buck Cherry, this group, we open up, and then we got all this shit was happening. I said, okay. I said, yeah, well, I had to give my notice to Uncle Chucky, right, on the reunion tour. And he then the HM called me. That was I never forget it, September of that year, right. And HM said, yeah, well, how much money? I said, well, Uncle Chucky's paying me like $1,500 to $2,000 a week or some shit like that, He said, hey, that's a little stiff. We don't have that kind of budget. I said, okay, yeah, I'll do it for that. But then he said, he explained the tour. Like, we got the tour with Buck Cherry, but then he started explaining how we were going to travel. Right. Like, a van tour. I said, hey, I don't do no fucking tours in no van. Okay? You get us, you get me, you get a fucking tour bus, I told him that. I said, you get a tour bus, and I'm there. And he got the tour bus for us. And then we went out with Buck Cherry. We toured all over the United States. And then it just kept going. Yeah. Then we came to Europe for the first time. That was the end of. And we did shows with Skin Dread. And who I'm playing. His homeboy. Yeah, you gotta say hello to my man. Yeah. But what I was gonna get to, when I remember that first tour, the first tour of Europe, they were pushing us in Germany a lot. That's the first place we went was Germany. And I remember you were just talking about now that. When he said we play live, remember on the first Buck Cherry tour, remember those electronic drums? The V drums. The V drums? And Epic was like sold on this shit, like, JB, you gotta, because Epic was into, there was a band, Orgy. He wanted to make it electronic, like more like electronic. And I was like, I mean, it was I was the oldest one in the band, and I didn't come from a technical aspect of recording. And Epic was the genius with that shit. He was the first one. We ended up just giving you a couple pads, right? Yeah. I think that's what we compromised. Well, on. Yeah, I said, like, motherfucker, I want drums. Yeah, but and then Pat was like, well, we'll just put a couple. Right. Because remember I told you I had the boss keg and the big bass drum and the snare, and I said I want real cymbals, Yeah. So the kick and snare is pop, that makes it, feel real. And the times where I could go over here and change the sounds, any sound I want to have one of the times, Yeah. But the main thing is having the groove there so they could rap, But I can never forget this. When after the Buck Cherry tour for 1 month, they said, hey, you guys, in 2 weeks you're going to fucking Europe. You guys are going to Germany. Bam! I said, this is fucking great. Because, I told Shifty, I said, you know what? Now we have to go. We don't have a budget. We don't have a budget to take all this shit with us. We have to play real drums. Right. And you love that shit. You say, yeah. So we flew into Hamburg, and then it was on from there. It was backline. We had a backline from Europe, so Epic couldn't have his pads. Bells and whistles. Yeah.
have lots of good memories. We have a lot of crazy ones.
Well,
yeah, a lot of crazy ones.
yeah.
Because I was going through. I mean, I was going through shit for my whole career. But you know, even the new band members have crazy stories about me. But you know, there was a lot of really fun times.
Yeah, there's some fun, crazy times.
A lot of really, you know, I mean, because we were on this, you know, roller coaster. Once we got on, man, the shit started blowing
It was
up.
like, you know, the shit was moving,
started
man.
charting all
like,
over the
you know,
world.
Yeah,
you know,
time.
You know, and it went from little buses to bigger buses to us fighting, and there been 2 buses.
Well,
now
you know,
I was like, motherfucker, I need a sober bus.
I told, you know what, and I was the first, me and him, I told management, I said, if you want, I told HM, I said, look, because after the first Ozfest, which was, you know, it was a catastrophe, but it was meant to be.
When I lit the bus on fire, and
you were down there, I said, shit, I mean, that was,
I remember you,
that was another thing, you know.
That was dark.
But the thing is, though, I mean, yeah, that was.
But that was my moment.
Yeah.
But it lasted for 20 years. But
yeah.
But yeah, that was yeah. And he was like, he had good sobriety. He was like, oh, Shifty.
I'm talking over the age. I didn't give up on you.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, getting back to, I have to remember. I remember too, because with the Ozfest, the second Ozfest tour, when you said, I remember HM calling me and saying some shit. He was kind of like not. Little concerned, I wouldn't say worried, but I said, yo, man, I said, look, this is how you handle this shit. You we need a sober bus and a clean bus. I mean, we need a sober bus and a party, you know, the crew and all those other fools can have the party bus. But you know, if you want me to be, you know, be with Shifty and have, we need to have,
you and AM,
right,
man.
yeah. No, me and you in trouble.
And
AM wasn't in the band.
At that point, it was after Boca.
It was the big, you know, there was the classic, the 2001 Ozfest tour.
Right, okay.
So that's when because remember, I'll tell you, the first part of the tour, of that tour, this is at the height of Butterfly. But
that's when I got mad at AM because he left on the other tour. Remember, he left on one, and then we did the Butterfly video, and I was like, no, you can't be in it because you left.
Oh, yeah, okay.
That he left because he was like, you too high, motherfucker, I'm out of here.
I told, remember, I saw,
like, this ship's going down, and then Butterfly came out, I was like, oh yeah?
Yeah, but you know what?
Yeah,
yeah, that's right, because we let him in the video. We let him in the video. And HM said, no, he's not your friend. You know, he was telling me that, like, you know, he's not your friend. He was my roommate, my bro on the tour, you know, and we were both so sober at the time, you know. And he was saying, yeah, he's not your friend, blah, blah. But that was really cool that you let him, because he had the big part. He had the big part in Butterfly. That's him.
Right.
You know, so, I mean, why not? So but after that, it was like, you know.
Then Revolving Door, he came back.
Oh, yeah, right.
But
you let him back in
I let him back in. Me and him just had like a brother.
You let him back in on the videos, though, right? Yeah. But he didn't tour with us anymore. He wouldn't tour with us. Huh? Did he? He wouldn't tour with us. After we did the Butterfly video. No, what you said? He came back. That's right. He did come back for a few months because it was like a lot of coming and going shit, you know. Then he finally like, okay, you know, yeah. It was after that video that he, you know.
Anyway, we love him.
Oh, there was some crazy stuff. There's one thing I can say about like, as far as our growth at the time. I mean, I remember. I can tell you one story real quick. I remember in '99, like from that.
We did the Run DMC tour.
Oh yeah, but that was after. Yeah. I mean, we played with them in Germany. But the thing is, and in the States too, we toured. But the thing is, I remember. I can tell you one story that I have. I remember in '99, you know, when the album came out in America, nobody knew who the hell we were at all. Okay, I remember going through the airports. Okay, when we used to walk through the airports, nobody looked at us at all. They didn't fucking even look at us. Okay, watch this. After Butterfly came out in 2000, I mean, when it started hitting instantly after we filmed it, they started playing in a rotation. Like we would say, like November of 2000.
It was on like 25.
It was on like every hour. Like it was like, I remember the first time I saw it, we were on our way on the tour. After we did the video, I'm sitting in my bunk, and we all had TVs in our bunk, okay? And Somebody woke me up and said, James, look at the TV. I'm like, what the fuck? I look. 2 o'clock in the morning. It was Butterfly. I'm like, what? And then, okay, because I had played on videos before and had them in that time slot, so I'm thinking, oh, you know, yeah, what? Like every hour, every day, every hour, every day. And I remember before, like that year, 99 and 2000, we would walk through the airports in America, and the fans, they didn't even know at that time that they were going to be our fans, but they didn't even look at us. They didn't know who the fuck we were. In 2001, okay, every time we went to every airport all over the world, there was like girls and guys chasing us everywhere. I said, yeah.
Oh, we'd come off the plane, there'd be signs.
Yeah, I mean, it was like some,
some Beatlemania shit
it was
for a
like,
minute.
Wow.
But, yeah,
cool.
good ride,
That
good
was fun.
times.
Yeah.
The actual story of Butterfly was we had done the record. We had most of the songs. It was actually the last song that me and Brett recorded,
Right.
and I was living with Cynthia at the time, who was my girl at the time, and I wanted to write a song. I wrote a song about her because I had been in all this trouble and I got out of jail, and all of a sudden I got a record deal, and I'm in a relationship that was really like special to me after I had pretty much thought my life was over. So it was like a rebirth for me. It seemed like, oh my God, I walked through that shit and now it's on.
Right.
So then I was writing this song and I kept calling Brett, I got it. He's like, oh yeah, the hook's dope. The hook's dope, all right. And so I like wrote these verses, and we came in. Oh, I remember I called Brett and I said, this is what the beat's got to be like. It's got to be like Under the Bridge. And Under the Bridge was, and so Brett was at the studio, and I remember Brett went and got Mother's Milk, and he went down to the car. He went down to the car and he was bumping Mother's Milk. He went down there and smoked a joint. And he came back up and he's all, check this shit out. And it was this weird interlude on Mother's Milk. And it wasn't like one of their big hits. It was just like this weird little, part that Flea had written. Right. And it was an interlude. So Brett was a hip hop producer. He was like, I'm going to sample this shit. He just looped it, threw some drums on it, and we recorded that song in an hour. Yeah. And it was done. I pulled out my little pad, and we recorded that song, and it was just like, boom, done. And that's the one that like...
The funny thing about my story on that is like, the funny thing about that particular song.
He obviously came in. And we had made like the demo of the track, and then.
But the crazy thing is that, shit, in '89, when I was in my band before, Mary Staines was a very popular alternative rock band in Los Angeles and parts of the States that I was in. Well, we kicked off the actual Mother's Milk tour in California. Okay, so I remember the song "Pretty Little Ditty," which was like Flea and John Frusciante jamming.
Right, it was the two of them.
So it was in like a bass solo, and that's where, like, Epic was like a genius with that shit. I mean, he did that thing. I mean, that was the first time I ever saw anybody like work with this new thing called Pro Tools, And I remember when he got the beat from Black Cloud. I'm like sitting there, the damn computer's here, and I'm like, and I'm hearing...
That was when he had bought his Triton.
I'm like hearing this shit, and I'm like, I heard the samples, like where he got them from. And I'm like, okay. And I was just watching. It was like magic. So the beat, I know where the beat, that particular beat is on one, like boom, boom, pop, boom, pop, boom, stop. I mean, I know exactly where that came from. I mean, who originally played that on the song, like maybe 10 years before. But he took the same beat in that pad in that time and just turned it around upside down. And I'm like, what the fuck? I mean, what just happened?
Black Cloud,
I mean, he just boop, 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 boop. I'm like, and then he pressed something and played it back. I'm like, what? I mean, so that was that whole process of sampling and that was like a whole new world for me, because we all.
But the cool part about it is I remember that's how then we went on the tour with the Peppers. But when we had that song, we didn't know if we could clear it. But then we had the same management,
right? That
as
was
the
cool
Red Hot
thing.
Chili Peppers. We had sent them our demos, and they were like, "Yeah, we want you." So then all of a sudden we had the same manager, so we were kind of like, if anyone can clear it, it's us, because we have the same manager. But then our management said, man, they've never cleared a sample ever. He's like, but we're going to play it for him. And they sent it. I remember they sent it to Flea and Anthony Kiedis, and they called us back and they said, not only did they clear it, but they aren't going to take a huge amount of the publishing. They said they want to split it with you. And they said the only reason they cleared it is because it was creative and they thought it was a piece of art, because we didn't massacre one of their hits.
Right.
We found something that was like a really cool, obscure little piece on one of their albums and made it into something completely different.
Wow.
Like we were artistic with it. We weren't butchering like their biggest hit.
Right.
We were actually did something that they felt was creative, and so they were like, not only are we going to clear the sample, but we want them to go on tour with us. So it was really cool. Like they took us on tour, and then Anthony helped me with sobriety, and it was cool. Like they embraced us and really
the funny thing about that with hooking up with the Chili Peppers, I mean, I was telling someone here earlier that it's crazy because it comes full circle in our personal lives. But I used to, when Anthony was 12 years old, I used to take him for hot dogs. And it happened a couple of times. But the first day it happened was amazing. I was 21 years old. This is like 1979, and I came to my buddy's house, store, picture frame store. It was on Los Angeles and Wilshire, and I was, back in the, I had, I had the Beamer. That was like, just been on TV, and I saw these kids. I go out the back door, and these two 12-year-olds with bikes, like looking at my car. I had this souped up Beamer with gold rims and extra black tinted windows, which I got a damn ticket for, and they were looking. I said, I just walked up, and one kid had long black hair, like real cute, and I'm saying, hey, how you guys doing? I just went up to him and said, how you guys doing? Fine, what are you guys? I said, what are you guys doing? We're just looking at your car, we like your wheels, blah, blah, blah. I said, you know what, you guys want to go have some hot dogs right around the corner? Come on, I'll go. I took them there. I didn't know who they were. I was just being nice. They were sweet. I was just being nice to them. Check this out. That was 79. Exactly 8 years later, Mary Stainers. I was in Mary Stainers now. The first day of the Mother's Milk tour. We had sound check, and then Chili Peppers are gonna go up. They went up after sound check. I'm standing there, and Chris Wagner, my bass player, comes to me. He says, James, JBJ, what's up? I said, what's up? He said, those guys over there, they say they know you, man. I said, at that point, I knew who the Chili Peppers were, and I listened to some of their music, so I knew who they were, but I never seen them live or whatever. And this guy, Lewis, comes over. Lewis. And he said, man, you remember, he said, James, you remember that day that you met those two little kids? You see that guy with the singer? That was me and Anthony Kiedis that you took for dogs that day. I'm like, what? I mean, So when this is all, it's like, it's all, amen.
1, 2. Let's go. Come my lady, come my lady, you're a butterfly, sugar. Come my lady, come my lady, you're a butterfly, sugar. That's pretty little thing. Think it was it that be strong with your celebrate. You gotta get a walk out. Butterflies in the eyes of the best to kill. Coming back to the man finger. Good is real. Like this, me, paperos. No one there really knows she got sex to feel like it. You let the devil enough. Yo, again, lift me up with me time. Never walk in my town. Never think of it around. You're the woman that I want to all birthday down. Come my lady, come my lady. You're my butterfly. Come my lady, you're my pretty lady. I'll make your legs shake. You make me go crazy. Come ladies, I've always go. Some ladies never come back. Most come back for more. I got a house in the hills with a dough that's thick. You're running out. How can you run it round? Some ladies know I'm revolving door. Some ladies never come back. Most come back for more. I got a house in the hills with a dough that's thick. You're running out. How can you run it round? Hey. My girls and romancing, no rotating. You're looking for a good time, I'm always on vacation. You just not by, baby. You wanna try your luck, but don't waste my time.